Hey, what's up, guys? MugenLord here, and today I want to talk about Square Enix. Yes, I know, Square Enix is no stranger here on this channel. I always cover Square Enix because I've grown up with Square. Ever since back in the early 90s, they have created some of the best beloved JRPGs that I've grown up with, and sometimes some obscure titles that maybe people may not recognize, but they were cult classics and gems. And it's just a shame how far this company has fallen as far as their image is concerned, up until now. And it's something about Square Enix where the potential was there. They can be the Square that we have grown to love, back then. It's just that there's some decisions that they just make you scratch your head at times. And then there's other times where they just make the best decisions and you say, okay, this is the Square that I want to see. Well, 2024, things are shaping up to be quite different. It seems to be a pattern here when it comes to Japanese studios, for the simple fact is that a lot of companies are shifting gears, or they're shifting their business practice and maybe trying to regain the trust of their fans and rebrand their image once again. So what I'm talking about here when it comes to Square Enix, well, apparently fans or people have noticed on their website that Square Enix have seemingly wiped out clear of their ESG section on their website. And not only that, Square Enix also had a page where they bragged about, how they approach about censorship and how they censor their games. And suddenly that also been wiped clear. So what is going on here? So before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. First, it started with a dialogue on X, where we have an X user that goes by the name Learning the Law, or Manga Lawyer. And this post had pretty much stated that Square Enix Japanese website has erased completely their section of ESG. The only remaining file on the internet is an old PDF. This could be a decision from the new CDO, Takahashi Kiryu, and the pressure on the public. Please double check if you have any doubts. And everybody's having a discussion about this, and there's a theme here, and I'm starting to notice this as well. And then we're going to go to Niche Gamer, because Niche Gamer also follows up and says Square Enix quietly removes recruitment page bragging about censorship. So it says Square Enix was caught quietly removing their recruitment page that had a quote from one of their employees bragging about censoring the developers' games. For those unaware, Square Enix previously had a recruitment page up that contained quotes from employee Tanabe Mari to potential new employees. The original page was in Japanese, but an individual, thankfully, has translated the statement. It says, "My job, I started out as a game designer on an online game. Nowadays, though, as a member of the quality assurance department ethics team," which everybody talked about on my every page. Every time I talk about Square Enix and you go on my videos, everybody keeps saying that Square Enix will be perfectly fine, or they can get back into gear and back into groove again if they get rid of that goddamn ethics team or that ethics department. But let's continue. I do a content check for all the company's titles. More precisely, I look at scenario, art, and all other aspects of the game to see if there's anything discriminatory, biased, or offensive. On top of being involved with so many games, we in the ethics team are involved with each one for a long span of time, from the initial planning stages and continually throughout a project's development. It's a great feeling of accomplishment when a game finally gets released. Then continue. Favorite part of my job. Because the ethics team's job is to make changes to whatever the devs make, I have to take responsibility and make sure that any changes I make / suggest are justified. It's a lot more than a simple yes / no sort of thing. Being able to propose an alternative expression is a huge part of it. And when you hear how this is described, and if you ever worked a job, it seems like these people right here, this ethics department, it seemed like they have a God complex, where these guys are changing social dynamics or social aspects to a game. It's like they the arbiter of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And you would notice this in your job, where you will find somebody who's high on power, or they feel like they have this high authority, or they have this moral responsibility, and they take their job way too serious, and not knowing that they're annoying, they're a pain in the ass to be around and nobody likes them. And that's what it seems like when I read this, how this person and how serious that they take themselves. And you also notice this with moderators and discords and forums and stuff, where they have nothing else going on in their life, but they feel so important about being a moderator and bragging about being a moderator because they have the ability to decide somebody's fate as far as being part of a community that they were being put in charge of. So that's what I get from this when it comes to a lot of this stuff in the ethics department. But let's continue. One aspect I try really hard at is to make sure my changes aren't noticed by the end user. Oh, this is interesting. For example, a typo or controversial / problematic, weird, artistic or verbal expression in a really emotional scene could ruin the experience. Well, you're doing a bad job about it, because you're saying that your goal is to try to change things to the point where the end user, which is us, the gamers, won't notice the changes. And that's the crazy part about it, is because if you look on Twitter and many other YouTubers who make content like myself, we report about these changes. We report about it. So no, you're doing a bad job. If your job is to make sure it goes unnoticed, you're doing a bad job. So then this employee continues. The user not noticing my changes means that I've done my job right, which you haven't. On the flip side, when a game I was involved in gets released to outstanding praise, it feels like I'm the one getting praise for my work, and it really makes my day. And I didn't even read this article, and that's what I'm talking about. These people that's in these ethics department, they feel like gods. They feel like judge, jury, and executioner, that they decide the fate of these titles and how they're being represented before these games go out to the end user, which is us, the gamers. And you can see right here that when the game get praised, this person also feel praised. So these people are full of themselves. These are the people that we do not need in the industry. And it's sad that it's people in Japan. We're not even talking about the West side of things. The West side is even worse, but you also have people like this in Japan, and this is where the problem's at. So this is what the translation was, so people was able to see it. So then, now when you go back to it, it says the page containing these quotes has since then been removed. They removed it. And it said the exact same reason behind the page, page's removal has not officially been stated. The web page has also been archived. So it says Square Enix has been known to contain an ethics department, and was believed this department was responsible for suggesting the tightening of Tifa's chest in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which we'll be talking about. Similarly, the game took modern sensibilities into account in regards to the Honeybee Inn. So let's discuss this for a second. Now, it's crazy how they just mentioned Tifa. We also talked about Tifa in the last video about fans are requesting Tifa in Tekken 8. You know, so if you want to, and Harada, the producer and director and creator of Tekken himself, he gave his response to it. So if you interested, want to know what his response is, definitely check that out. But to talk about Square Enix and talk about Tifa, I don't know what's going on. And there could be some merit. Don't know yet. But there could be some merit when it comes to Square Enix removing their ESG page and removing some of the stuff that some of these localizers or what the people in the ethics department are saying, is because now we have a new CEO that's taken over, which is Kiryu, who took it over for Square Enix. And I've noticed that there's a pattern here. It's like that these new CEOs is coming in and saying, hey, hold up. We got to get this shit together. We gotta change our image. We have to rebuild our image. And I've noticed that when it comes to Japanese studios, it's not just about speaking with your wallet, but when it comes to the culture itself, image is very, very important. And I'm starting to notice that even when you're speaking with your wallet, also your voice, you constantly pointing out that, yo, this is not right. The ethics department is ruining this, ruining that. And when you look at Tifa, for example, Tifa is queen. I'm sorry, I sound like a fanboy of Final Fantasy VII, but Tifa is queen. And when people are pointing out at Tifa, for example, how they pretty much clothed her up or reduced her bust size and everything like that, that goes back to Square Enix, and that says a lot. And now that we got a new CEO in here, I also noticed that with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I had posted on my Twitter that they did something to Tifa. For the simple fact is, we've noticed that they added jiggle physics to Tifa's bust, and her bust got even bigger, especially with the whole big swimsuit outfit. And also, I noticed that have they possibly buffed Aerith as well? So these are the little things that we're starting to see, and I noticed that you guys in the comment sections of the tweet are also saying that, I don't know, this like could nature be healing? Like, what is going on here? And I've always said this when I talked about Stellar Blade. We could experience a shift when it comes to Eastern Studios, when it comes to them just ditching, you know, the ESG and ditching some of this, you know, woke ideology from the West, and just continue to do what they've normally been doing, you know, since the very beginning. Just create great games and create characters that people just fall in love with. And that's what they need to get back to. And I think this is something that we could possibly be seeing, and Stellar Blade is that perfect example of that. That's why I said it's very, very important. If Stellar Blade ends up making a shit ton of money with a sexy, beautiful female protagonist as the leading character, and it does really, really well, this is going to turn heads. This is going to start spinning the cog in a lot of these studios' heads and say, you know what? Let's just go back to doing this. And Tifa in that swimsuit looks amazing. And then there's another video of her walking on the beach with Cloud, and you notice that there are jiggle physics with something that the last, with the first Final Fantasy VII remake, that wasn't even there. They were just stiff. They just look fake or whatever like that. But we're starting to notice that there is some changes coming in. Now, I know people are saying, hey, don't congratulate Square Enix right away. We don't know yet. But I also want to remind you too, if there is a shift coming, I wouldn't say expect them in the next couple of games. There may still be some censorship in some games, because you also got to remember, these games take years to develop. So a lot of these games have already been, you know, censored and everything, because these games been in development for years. So we may start seeing major changes once we start seeing newer games coming out from Square Enix and many other Japanese studios moving forward. But this is very pivotal when it comes to Stellar Blade, and looking at right now Tifa and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't know. This could be a dawn of a new beginning, and it's sad to say a new beginning because games were always like this in the past. But we could be going back to normalcy again. So we will just have to wait and see. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think is going on here with Square Enix and the ESG page getting wiped out on the Japanese page, and a lot of all the other nonsense with the ethics department being removed from their page? Is there a shift coming? And like I said, Sony also has a new CEO that's going to step in by April, and are talking about turning things around as far as pushing their first party titles onto PC as well, starting to make that a normal thing in order to raise profits. And they have to reorganize the business because of how much money that Sony is splurging when developing these first party games. So it looks like there may be a shift coming, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Japanese studios are going to turn things around? And I'm going to be hopeful. I think that Japanese studios aren't stupid. I think they're eventually going to turn this around, especially when they seen what fucking happened with Forspoken, and they went the whole Western approach and it failed. And you look at Avengers, that failed. So I believe that, yes, there is some hope. And I'm going to stay with hope. I know a lot of you guys, you know, some people hate the negativity sometimes with some of the topics that I cover, but I'm going to also have hope as well. Keep your eyes open, but also have some hope as well that things will go back to normal as time go by. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.